All right, well, 6 o'clock, let's get started, and welcome to the meeting of the Sheridan School Bond Oversight Committee. We'll do a roll call with the voting members of the committee. And we're going to move to questions, the general committee questions like that to the end. We'll approve the minutes, and then we'll go through the timeline financial update. And I saw in the email that I had a couple of questions that I want to ask the contractors, and that a couple of specific things. And at that time, we'll collect questions also from the group. We'll give them to the contractor, and we'll have those questions or the issues questions about the progress, and we'll deal with those in addition. So, with that, we will do a roll call of the voting members of the committee. Stephen Rebeck here. And you got to help me out here. Is it Larry Dybel or Diebel? Dybel. Here. Ray Watkins. Molly. Here. Jeremy Hutchinson. Here. Angie, help me out. Is it Ledecky? Ledecky. Thank you. Michael Griffith. Here. Yes, sir. Lisa Heatherly. Here. And Julie. With that, did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes that I emailed out earlier? We'll get a motion, much like we did last time. We'll get a motion to approve those.
A motion to approve the minutes.
And a second?
I'll second.
Well, I thought minutes are approved. All those in favor of approving the minutes
of the voting group, so you're all on the yellow, you guys get to vote on that.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we're able to vote through that successfully. Let's get on we look at the financial timeline update. Let's rattle off. I don't want to be the attention hog during this, but I just want to reiterate and explain the questions I had. Then get questions for you. Then we'll turn it over to the contractor to explain. I said, compared to the last Gantt chart received on February 4th, compared to the one we received on April 2nd. And all this is WP1. Design extended from 4.1 to 4.29. Committee extended from 5.1 to 5.22. The business contracts extended from 5.6 to 5.27. I'm very sorry. This was the email. Oh, is it on the? This was just. This was.
Okay. I don't think that's specific.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's redo that for next time. So, unfortunately, we're just starting the progress. That is the reason I had questions about the time, and we'll ask for clarification on that when we get to it. But the reason for that is because it's construction delays, even though it's not the hammer swing part of construction, aren't conducive to saving money on the customers. So that's why I asked. I'm sure it's a completely legitimate reason, but something that I want to have clarified on the open. And then on the scope, I mentioned the Energy Trust of Oregon rebates. I want to see where we are with that because ETO rebates are time sensitive. And the way the state of Oregon works, since they started these things many years ago, was that they give them out for money. They don't start with a set amount. They don't say, I've got this much money, and they don't dole it out during the year. They just spend out we just wait till next year. And I want to see if you or anything like that. And I had a question about geotech. On the second, we said the geotech was determining if the existing base in the parking lot can be recompacted. And I'd like to know where we're at with that, just because it was a question that were up last time, and I think that's a reasonable question to ask. And my other question was about Faulkner Chapman. We talked about the rooftop units, RTUs, and Faulkner Chapman. We talked, HVAC is not a cheap undertaking, and there's a lot of different ways to look at that, a lot of metrics to look at that. And I do think it's in the purview of the charge of this committee when we ask the contractor what are we using, what standard, what metrics are we using to determine what RTUs can be replaced. That's something that we get, and that information be provided to Sean Vesper. I think it's fair for us to ask if this organization, because it's publicly facing decisions in the next bond, and then whatever that rationale is, will be used to replace CRQs, then Mr. Vesper gets it, but then we can wash our hands and, yeah. And that's why he's sitting on that side, and you can't hit you.
Because he knows it.
There's always that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know where I park. And then, and that's all I've got, okay, about questions about the Gantt charts that you see in progress of construction. So at this point, I want to open up to the rest of the committee to see if you have any specific questions that you would like Scott to answer. I really didn't feel is there any, I realize we're not in the throes of real construction yet, but we definitely are at a point at this, we're at a point now that we need to ask some questions. Or at least I feel it was my project, oh, yeah.
And may I ask,
Yes, sir.
where do you get the information to ask this question about?
Well, where I got the information is I compared the schedule that we were given on the second. Yes, this is the Gantt chart, you might see the Gantt chart. I compared that, because like I said, because we're not really into the thick of construction yet. So all I have to base it on is what we have from that versus what we were just provided for the meeting that I had sent out. That schedule, does that make sense? That schedule we provided prior to this meeting. And those two changed a little bit.
So this February versus this now.
Yes, February versus today's. And those have changed a little bit. And the specific items that changed relating to the work packages that we're working on for right now, I'm curious as to why they've changed.
Okay, because you said that you sent something out that I did not receive.
Well, there you go. Oh my gosh, okay.
I mean,
I'd be reticent to trust me with technology, so let me look back and make sure that, did you guys look at the Google group the way I set it up and sent it? So I wouldn't put it past me to mess that up. And I apologize.
I mean, that's fine because I get messed up on the fire vote for the budget.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can't answer that.
Okay, so I went back and pulled the February 4th, so you're talking February 4th one to this one is what you.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay,
And in my answers about work package one, WP1, I said this design was extended, committee was extended, and BC was extended. And that is if you were looking at those line items, fine, those two. That's what's going to be. So if there's no other questions, then I'm sorry, Scott, I can review this because I should have printed this out to give to you to say these are our questions, right?
I've printed out your email.
Okay. I don't trust myself to remember. So, all right, so I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. So what would you like me to do? Just work through your questions?
Sure, and then whatever general updates you feel, is appropriate.
Okay. All right. So in respect to the questions, so the first one was regarding schedule and design permitting and what we call bidding and contracts. Those shifted out about 3-4 weeks. And the schedule that you received on February 4th was before any professional services were engaged. So we received a cost estimate from the designers about January 26th. And so we took a look at that, we adjusted the budgets and the scope based on those estimates. And then we solicited services from the architects, also from professional roofing consultants, or our bullet consultants were kind of there, as well as we engaged geotechnical and land survey. So all those folks, we identified where our construction schedule was, we back engineered from there, and they identified based on their manpower availability when they did the work. So because it didn't impact our ability to start construction, it did narrow that gap between bidding and the start of construction, but it didn't change the start of construction. So we accepted those schedules, and then we held them to those schedules. So the February 4th was done in a vacuum of what we thought would be best, and then once we engaged those 4 stakeholders, then we worked with them on the manpower. So where we're at is we're still bidding it out. We'll be putting it on the street this month to bid. We'll have it on the street for 3 weeks. We'll award and come to the board. I believe there's a board meeting May 20th. Does that sound right?
that sounds correct.
Okay, so we'll have the bids ahead of the board meeting, so we'll go to the board on May 20th and say, here's the roofing one, and here's the parking lot with the lights one, here's where they bid, here's our budget, please approve. And then that'll put us about a month before construction is scheduled to start. So we'll do contracts concurrently with that. Construction is scheduled to start June 22nd. Why June 22nd? Because I hear it's very busy right after June 20th with hometown days and everything else. Last thing we need is a bunch of dumpsters and parking lot tore up and roofing materials and so on. So we're gonna go through hometown days, and then Monday the 22nd, everybody mobilizes. So yeah, so just based on, February 4th didn't have any stakeholders engaged yet. Today, now we do, and they've been working through the design. In fact, I received the draft roof design today for our review. That's about what we call a 90% construction document set. I'm gonna take a look at that over the next 2 days, take it back to them with any comments. So, perfect. We'll put it, I think, 29th, April 29th is a Wednesday. That's when we'll have it advertised in papers. We'll have the Daily Journal of Commerce and the local paper, and we'll put it also on the Oregon Buys state website. So,
Thank you, that'll work.
Sure.
Then about the ETO.
Yeah, so the ETO, so yes, Christina Skellinger, she's the renovation rep for Energy Trust of Oregon, for those who don't know ETO. And so they make grants available for energy savings projects, and their funding tends to go like this, and especially around the time of COVID and other things, it was, hit or miss. So their grants are starting to come back up. So I had a conversation with Christina about not only this summer's work, but last summer's work. This summer's work, yes, she's running some calculations with Brian Morrison, who's another person at ETO, who's going to check our lighting designs and see what available funds are available, or that they can provide us for that. They also typically pair that up with what we call Senate Bill 149 funds. My guess is those have been used or mostly used, or we figured that might still have some.
Brian Morrison, I just sent him all of our power bills.
Okay.
He wanted to know that to just make sure.
Oh, for those past lighting
Sure we're
projects.
not eligibility.
Okay.
Going forward.
Cool.
And then we have about $94,000 left in our Senate Bill 149.
Good, good,
So
okay.
there's that.
And Senate Bill 1149 is a very odd grant in that they authorize you to spend funds that you're going to get anyway, okay? But you can't spend them until you get authorization, and you can only get authorization by doing a qualifying eligible project. Now, sometimes they'll qualify you, say, I just had this in September School District. They qualified for us to use about $1 million with Senate Bill 149. So they only have about 800,000 in the account. So they get more money each year. So, they sort of pre-approve the next 200,000 such that it's going to get as it comes back. So that's one pocket. Then the other pocket is Energy Trust of Oregon, which is basically a reimbursement shortly after you finish the project. You turn in the invoices and then they give you that. And they let you know what that is up front. So yeah, so it sounds like Brian's already reached out to you, and
Karen's gonna discuss that in her thing also.
Yeah, and so that's exterior lighting, so it'll be a small grant. I'm hoping for a much larger grant with mechanical system replacements and some of the other investments we'll be making in 27. So, and I've had conversations with her about that, so I'll get that to you.
And then, thank you for that, and then the geotech decision.
Yeah, the geotech. So unfortunately, we have about 12 inches of undocumented fill under our parking lot. Specifically, and undocumented fill doesn't always behave well. I mean, it can, but that's kind of random. You've seen the main lot here, from here to the other side. I'll let you figure out which one has the undocumented, which half has undocumented fill under it. Yeah, it's in our side. That's why you have all the writing and the potholes and whatnot. So Geotech did what they call some probes to see what the the compaction capability is, and they identified that there is undocumented fill on the kind of top 12 inches. So from basically that speed bump that way, we're going to take all the asphalt out, and we're going to take down 12 inches, and we're going to bring back in 12 inches of structural fill and repay that whole portion. From the speed bump this way, we're going to grind and do an override. We're not going to take down the gravel. So now when I say we're going to take out 12 inches all there, we're going to have a geotechnical engineer that will be monitoring that excavation. So if they find, we might pack the proof roll ahead of time, see if we've got any areas that are firm. Doubtful, but if we do, then we might be able to kind of pick and choose where we excavate. When we take out 12 inches, so that everybody's aware, full transparency, when we take out the 12 inches, if we still see some soft spots below that 12 inches, we have to excavate a little bit more. So the geotech will be out there throughout that excavation process, monitoring that. But they don't just say, "Oh, take out another 12 inches." What they do is they watch basically each scoop. They take a look. Yeah, that's not so good. That's good. It's a little bit of art to it as well. Like that way, you're not taking out more than you have to. We're trying to be very targeted specific about that. But given your potholes and your undulation in that parking lot, it will not surprise me if we have some soft areas. We've got to move a little bit of soil. For those that don't know, asphalt doesn't bridge anything. Your entirety of your parking lot depends on your substrate, not on your asphalt. That's just sort of a water protected for gravel. So anyway, so we'll be very strategic about that, but I'm sure we'll probably use a little bit of project contingency, to take care of the soft spots. Unfortunately, it's not cheap to move dirt. That's happening.
All right, the works and the Buckner Chapman RTUs.
Walter Chapman RTUs, we've got a request for a fee proposal from Systems West Commission, or excuse me, Cezanne Group, to do what we call a more detailed retro commissioning of your HVAC units at FCS. The original designers took a look at it, kind of a very cursory look at the units and said, replace them all. It was like 15, 18, 15 and 1 and 83 of them. So 18 units. You don't have the budget to just pull and replace all 18 units. And I also worry, engineers like to design new stuff. They're not they don't like to necessarily retrofit the system. So by kind of having that broad brush, I'll just replace them all. Well, we don't have the budget for that, so what can we do? So Cezanne Group is direct hired by the school district to do your commissioning of the mechanical systems. They're going to come out and they're actually going to do a basically what we call a retro commission of each and every unit, and then do an analysis of what is its remaining life. Well, two things. One is what would have to be done to get it working fully operational, if anything can be. They might just say, no, this one's dead, and that's okay. We want somebody to go more detailed work. And if we make repairs, how have we extended useful life? Have we extended it 3 years, in which case that's not worth the repairs. If we've extended it 10 years, okay, then it probably is worth that. So right now we've got 18 units at FCS, and right now we don't have a budget to replace all of it. So,
Well, I think that it is within the purview of this committee, like I said in the email, that you provide Mr. Esper with the metrics that you use to make that decision. All right.
Sure.
And then on to your 4.2, the breakout of the abatement project.
Breakout of the abatement. I'm sorry, I didn't see that in your question.
Okay, it's on the, no, it's not, it's off the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
the
Okay.
4.2, yeah, we're all through the questions that I've had. And I should rephrase that, let's see who has any others, outside of what I said. So
Yeah, so what I could do is, we set out a 5-page budget sheet that should be in your packet. And the first page kind of looks like this, kind of a summary table. Skip that one. Look at page 2. Okay, page 2 is a longer list here. So what I heard from last time is when we gave you these sheets, okay, the budgets are sort of rolled up. There's one line item for the construction.
Yes.
You wanted to see it broken out more. That's what page 2 is taking that same construction budget, not project budget, construction budget, and breaking it out into the various budget components.
is that in the packet that we have?
It's page 2 of the
Oh, okay, no, that's fine, I don't want to take a committee time over that, there's nothing that we can really do with that here, but having.
But I do want to, but to your point regarding asbestos, so if on the top one where it says Sheridan High School, and you can see the 2026 projects, there's a question about what we're doing in 26. When you go to 2027, look 3 down, and you'll see flooring abatement replacement, okay? And you'll see a budget of $156,000. And that's based on what each of the other pieces are estimated to cost as well. So we've got $156K to do as much abatement as we physically can. You'll see a note there where I'm saying we're gonna start at the science art room and then add as budget allows. So we'll bid it with what we call a normal bid strategy, where we have a base bid and then we have alternates. And so if we have a good bid day, well, then we buy more of those alternates or buy essentially another wing of the abatement or something along those lines. It's never going to be less expensive than to do it while it's already mobile. That's always a good thing to do. So I mean, that's gonna be our strategy, to try to do as much abatement as we can. And we can certainly circle back in summer 28 if you have any problems left and even do more of it. You'll have that ability to take a look at that. But we don't want to overcommit your contingencies before we get done with what we call your high risk projects. You want to bid out everything, get your bond promises met, and then see how much deeper that we can go with the abatement. So, or other projects, because you folks have the ability to make recommendations to the district in the fall of 27, after all the bond promises are built, and say, hey, we've got 300 grand left, or 500 grand left. What do we think we should do? There'll probably be a long resistance thing, it's much larger than the money we have. And there'll be some sort of prioritization. You folks will probably prioritize or make recommendations to the school board and say, hey, school board, we recommend that you prioritize projects this way to spend that remaining funds. They'll take that under advisement, they'll chat with Sean, they'll chat with the superintendent, and they'll kind of look and see what that might be. Might be more abatement, might be, I don't know, whatever.
No, thank you for that. That's all what we want to know about the asbestos. $756,000, I suppose that'll do, probably what's that little hallway right there. Anyway, to the grants, Karen.
Yes. Awesome grant. I haven't claimed anything from them. The funds are available. I haven't claimed anything because we're still just using the bond money right now. The COPS grant, I am going to, so we have $500,000 in the COPS grant, and basically we have to do some matching funds. So what I'm going to do is go through this list that you just handed us and say, like, for SHS, the exterior lighting. So we got $104,000 from the COPS grant. So basically, $104,000 we'll use the COPS grant, and then that would take down the amount we have to use for the bond. So I'll figure that out, and then next month, for our next meeting, I'll have a list of that to show this can come out of the COPS grant as matching funds.
This is required 20% of our own matching costs, right?
Yes, we have to do matching funds.
20% of the total cost, or is like half and half?
We have to do, it's 500,000, so it's basically, like they're saying, the total cost is gonna be 1.7 million, and this is what we're,
Got it. Okay.
So of the total cost. Anyway, I'll get it figured out, and then I can do a work at next meeting and show you guys that. Energy Trust Oregon, it says power bills, like I said, we've got $94,000. And we just went through this process for upgrading the lights up at FCS. And then Sizer grant, we're just waiting to hear if we got funding. That's what we got, which is in the May.
Probably mid-May. So they say, unfortunately, I can't control that, but that group, I hear rumor, has adopted a process that's supposed to make it a little bit more streamlined. So because it was tending to be toward the latter part of May, and then they were saying late April, and then they said, no, we're gonna back on. So they're back, move back. That's probably mid-May. Yep, as soon as we know, we will let everybody know.
Is that Karen?
That's all I got. Did we have a question? And then the other thing I was gonna report is that we earned $146,460 in interest on our bond.
Nice.
Can I get that number in here? $146,460.
Seeing no questions from Karen, Rose Elaine.
So let's finish typing that while I have it later. All right, communication. So first thing is always and ever going to be the website, just reminding everyone that it is out there and that we are kind of updating it as we go. Also, just a reminder, the minutes and packet for these meetings are also on the website. So if you don't get the materials and things like that, you can always check that. And I'm attaching an agenda in a packet, just like board meetings. That are linked off that website, so that's another resource there. Just under the umbrella of communications, could we circle back to the email question, because I heard a couple people that didn't get the information Jared sent out. So Larry, you said you didn't get it, and George, you didn't.
I didn't see it either.
Okay,
I don't know if it goes into my junk mail or not,
okay. So, we'll work on that. I just want to kind of confirm this.
because I didn't check my junk mail.
Valid.
Well, it's someone more technologically capable. Sorry.
Okay, so in your materials that you picked up today, RNC provided us a glossary of terms, so I gave that to everybody to add to your notebooks. And this is just if you're reading through things and you start seeing things and you don't know what they are, make sure this team knows.
That's what Cody said.
Yeah.
He said, can you check this out? So I checked it out.
Because Cody sent it to me. So that's just a resource that we wanted everybody to have. I also spent some time just developing another timeline for the questions around why are we not able to do the whole kit and caboodle this summer, kind of what has gone in on this year, to help you answer questions in the community and things like that. That's another resource. It is also on the updates page of the website for your viewing enjoyment. Put some posters up around on the billboards around Sheridan, and I think that was your feedback. The bulletin boards were helpful to see some things, so I just did some small handouts on those around town on what's happening this summer, so the community is aware of what they'll see. Timeline, and then just standard talking points. The 3 projects that are happening here this summer are parking lot repairs, roof and exterior lighting at the high school, and other projects are in design phase. Any questions on communications?
Will there be something available on hometown days for people to pick up?
Like flyers kind of information. Yeah, we can do that. They'll be, so over here, just behind where you pick up your name tags, there's some yard signs that are going to be going out in areas where work is going to be happening. So I just put a couple examples out of what you'll see. So those will be outside the old gym at Hoffman Chapman or the high school because of the office space, or around where the parking lot is in the high school. And a few of them will obviously be inside for interior spaces, but you'll see those at the schools as well. So people know what's happening.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good venue.
Nice.
Talking about all of that.
Might add something. Related to the design phase, so we had our first set of meetings on Friday, and just to put our 2 administrators on the spot to share a little bit about those 2 meetings, the meetings you attended.
Sure.
Process and what you learned.
Well, for the high school, we had 2 meetings. We had one for the science room, where we had a good conversation about, they had the layout of what the current science room looks like. They had a little bit of some models of what the ideas would look like, fit and finishes, where sinks and storage of chemicals would go, and what we need and what we don't need anymore. And so some good conversations with the architects on that. And then we also then had another one about the secure vegetables, same process, where the architects just basically said, what do you need, what do you see, what looks good, and then again some models to share with us. And that meeting consisted of all the kind of the key players. So like, for instance, the secure vestibule, it was the front office staff, myself, everyone who had the interaction with the public when they first came into the building and would have to operate that space, and what's kind of working well with the current system and mostly what doesn't work well with our current system. And so they were pretty excited afterwards. That was a really good process to kind of see, especially for those people that haven't necessarily been, they've heard about it, but actually see it. I think that was an exciting process when they had no idea what was going on. So that's just the first step of it.
Just a quick question from this group, just to kind of get the pulse. How many of you have visited a school that have a secure vegetable in it? So you conceptually understand. It's like a waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go into Dayton High School, junior high, you go into it's like a little doctor's office waiting room, and you are not allowed into the rest of that building until
you have, actually, Dayton, I think they pretty much check the blood.
Yeah.
You have to give all this information and you're given a passcode.
So for instance, like what the front office staff, what they really wanted, we're looking for is to come in the building, but then also not even just to be able to check in at the window, but then there'll be a door that goes into the office without actually having to come into the main part of the building. So if they have a meeting or if it's someone from FedEx who's just dropping off something, they don't ever have to come fully into the building. They can just come in that first space and then go directly into the office. So there'll be some redesign of how people are set up in that space. So the office staff are very excited about seeing that.
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the best practices, thing to do, because not just for schools, just because it's a science, we're doing that with medical, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we had 2 meetings in the afternoon. First was band and choir rooms with band and choir teachers. They were extremely excited to sit and get to talk about this stuff, because I guess that's how to put it. Yeah, Derek in particular had a lot of thoughts. He went to school here as a kid and now as running the classroom, and he's very knowledgeable inside and out of that building. So it was great. We talked a lot about storage, some of the main issues, some of the flooding component. I kept bringing up, like, please just no more water in the gym or the band room. I don't care about anything else. But it was a really productive meeting. And I had no idea what to expect, and I don't think they did either. They haven't had one involved up to this point. So I really enjoyed it. The second one was focused more on the gym and the locker room spaces. So we had AD, current elementary PE teacher, and then Leo even came in as one of our community middle school coaches. So it was great to hear their kind of ideas and perspectives, and I used to coach a lot there too, so I tried to chime in. So yeah, it was felt super useful. Starting to kind of making sure we're staying focused and on target for what we talked about, not just I'll put a hot tub in there, right? But I don't know.
Another gym. We don't need that gym.
Yeah. So it was I got a lot of really good feedback afterwards from the people that were involved. I think there's some excitement building up, and also like first time we've got to start to dream a little bit and talk about fixing some of the problems we've always learned to live with, unfortunately. So that was great.
Yeah, so then the team will come back and they will take all that feedback and come back and meet with the same groups again and go through the process. This is in preparation for summer of 27. Yeah.
Perfect, and then I guess we're up to 7.1 for general questions, and we talk about things that are appropriate to talk about what people are hearing in the community. I spend running around here, I haven't heard a whole lot. Anybody else?
It's not that
Yes, sir.
it's not that what I've heard, but I've noticed that it was mentioned during the last bond meeting that the parking lot would be, taken care of, and then the equipment over there would be addressed, right? There's been several people who are like, I didn't know about this, like, what happened? I was thinking to myself, like, are those times like, they did mention that 2 months ago, so maybe there might be some other ways of trying to reach out to them, because no one has even mentioned me at all. They can even comment on my web page and to say, hey Joe, can you reach out to people? Like, no one has even done that either. So I guess people are okay with what's going on. So
Yeah, that's good feedback. Yeah, that's good feedback.
I've started to get, wait, aren't we supposed to be doing something at the conference in the last month or two? I'm assuming I'll hear a little of that at conferences this week. But thanks to some of the stuff Elaine's put out, it's kind of been, oh yeah, so we're gonna start with parking lot lights down there. It's pretty much the gym.
Summertime.
Yeah.
But the community, we don't know that we passed the bonds. I'm sorry. The information is out there, and if you want to know, it's not that hard to get to it. It's out there. They keep you kids out of school, so we can charge them? No, I don't do that.
We're going to have dozen meetings. Take some time, like, this plan and design,
Well, it's not terribly impacted now because the construction has to happen, so you don't see a lot going on, and that's intentional to, be after hometown days and not impact everybody the first summer. But next year, 27, we're hoping to cheat up a little bit and do a few things starting before the summer, in the spring. We've been talking about maybe the locker rooms at SCS. We've been talking about the new parking lot here at the high school. Talking about just a few things, because it's a lot of money to squeeze into a 10-week wonder. And what we'd rather do is start a little early and finish at the end of the summer, than start at the start of summer, kind of finish the end of September. Even if it's planned, there's just sort of this prepared communications you have to do. You have to sort of apologize for still working on it in September, even if that was your plan from the start. So we just find it's usually better to sort of then to start early than to beg forgiveness for finishing late. So that's what, and you take advantage of that when it's too start on the fall. So I'm hoping to start both of those areas maybe around April 1. We're just going to see how that all plays out. So we need to coordinate logistics with user groups and that kind of thing. But we could go in like right after spring break and maybe knock out those locker rooms that have the most sort of, I'll say, demolition activity, if you will, and then start that new lot. As soon as that's very weather dependent. I'd love to get on that as soon as the weather's decent. Related to that is ADA improvements at the grandstand on the paved path right back there. If I start that April 1, I can phase the completion and say, I want that ADA ramp done before graduation. And you can, have the rest of the summer to get the rest of the lot done. Things like that starts to help if you look more strategic about some of the questions.
So as far as the structure of this agenda and the topics we talked about today, is there anything that you would like to see or to add for meetings going forward, as far as structure of the meeting?
I just thought this meeting ran us smoother and more organized. It was actually good. That's my feedback.
I gotta admit, I'm a little more excited about it because we're starting to get, what interests me. Doing the work, and so now I think, especially moving forward, we'll have even more questions that I think are tangible, Yeah, thanks, Joe.
And Larry had a question too.
Pardon?
Larry had a question.
Okay,
Oh.
Steve, this is for Sean, and when you talk about the parking lot, are you going to be taking down all that shed and the other stuff out there, or is that going to be staying out there?
Like on the football field side?
Yeah, on the football field side,
No, that's not part of the paving project.
That's on the other side of the fence.
So you got the parking lot, which I can understand, but I was just gonna say, well, parking lot, then you have that shed or that building for the football side.
Will that be the new entry then off the?
I think we'll end up with 2 entries.
Will be 2 entries now?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to clean that area up and put a second ticket booth over there for that parking.
Oh, when we do the new lot.
The new lot, yeah.
For the lot, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking about, that more people will be parking over there
Right.
than.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure that we can incorporate a revised, gate component right at that new lot. When we do the new lot, we probably just tie it into that new lot project. That's
And you said about things that be noticeable. And I don't know what the rest of the high school is going to look like, if it's going to have some kind of exterior different look to it, or if it's going to be all inclusive in the original building that we have right now.
It has to remain in the same envelope.
We can't. Yeah, and I understand that, but if you see that happening, then they don't think they're really going to, that you can get that started.
I think when they see 12 inches of parking lot. People are gonna really notice, and that's
You
good
might
thing.
want that parking lot down first, and say, "You don't have to budget."
Exactly.
So what was there before, if that, with the undocumented bill? Was there anything there, or has that always been moving?
Or was it before it was a high school?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Roughly, when was this place built?
I don't know.
What over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
You know what? The old high school was set right, basically, right, I think, where we're at right now.
Is that right? What happened to the old one? Was it demoed or burned down or how did?
They tore it down to build around, the new one around it.
Oh.
Could have that bothered that. I wasn't around for that.
Well, keep in mind too, is, you're in a floodplain,
Yeah.
so they may have been told to raise the parking lot, and as such, they had to raise it 12 inches. And maybe back then they said, oh, somebody's gonna give us some fill for free, let's use that. And it burns out decades later.
But back then, they didn't have like lasers and things like that, to turn it splatter level.
We defined a lot of things like floodplain, things like that, a little bit differently back then.
Just thinking about this new parking lot and football entrance, we're gonna have to do some work communicating with our neighbors on Jefferson. The impact of traffic on Friday night. Because people inevitably will don't turn left on Jefferson thinking there's a way out that way, and they end up in no man's land, so we're gonna have to do some work to just heads up for that.
There will be a couple crosswalks incorporated for that too, that's kind of determined in the early engineering stuff, so that's Jefferson. right?
Yeah.
We'll have 2 crosswalks across Jefferson.
And I probably have problems with that medical. Yeah, exactly, I'll open up the garden, right?
Is it already a school zone over there?
Is that
Is there already a school zone?
on Jefferson?
I think there is east of us, isn't there?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's one,
I think so.
there's schools outside.
They're used to that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah,
This question might be out of the purview of this committee, but normally like drops right there. Would they go somewhere else?
We put that on the list that they would have need to relocate.
I think that's a good point.
Yes.
That's a fair question to ask.
Absolutely, yeah, we're gathering the contact with folks and making a call.
All right, so we've got, 6 o'clock time works for everyone?
Yeah, great.
Okay. And then what's the time here about the FCSA pre-promotion?
So the next meeting, should have been scheduled for Monday, June 8th, but that's the 8th grade promotion at FCS. So we were going to see if Tuesday the 9th works for everyone. 6 p.m. instead of the Monday.
No,
Not Tuesday.
not the second Tuesday.
Okay. Is there, so do you want to do a date? How do we want to?
Could we push it back to the 15th? Monday the 15th?
Does that encompass with city hall, city council?
I don't know. City council first Monday?
Yeah.
First and third. First and third, yeah, okay. And then that would be the source. Well, some of us are still working June 22nd, so. we can just keep going.
That'll be a first day with no kids or.
That's right. Yeah.
It'll be first day.
15th.
Well, that's the 16th.
Not the big, yeah, I was gonna say the first day, it's right after, homecoming.
I can make it work. I can rearrange my schedule.
For the 15th?
Not for the.
22nd? The 18th,
The
the 9th, the 9th. Okay, Tuesday the 9th. Tuesday the 9th.
And is this time good? Do you want to do it sooner or?
So it's gonna be the night.
Yes. Yeah.
Sooner is questionable.
Yeah.
Okay, no, fair enough, fair
Yeah.
enough. I mean, I don't want to make whatever works for.
Okay, June 9th at 6. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, June 9th. Okay.
All right.
And then just noting that we are going off of the every other month schedule for summer and we'll come back in September.
Fair enough. And we can certainly communicate, as a group, here, we don't know if there's anything that we need to have. As well.
Would you like to schedule a tour of the completed work? I mean, it's not hard, just a lot of work. I mean, ahead of school starting or not, or I don't know, we could certainly make something available. We would like, maybe we talk about that in the June meeting.
Let's talk about the June meeting. You think that's fair?
Or June 9th.
I think that's, because I don't think anything transition. Now in June, that will necessitate on me. Kevin's going to say that. For what I know, the way things are progressing now. Okay, well, that being said, is there anything else for the good of the order?
I have one more quick question.
Yes, sir.
I remembered some time ago during bombing that there was, talk about trying to get a grant for the roof of a building to try and make sure that, that grant would help cover, costs, so that way it would eat up the bond cost. Was that mentioned in this meeting, or did I miss? Oh, it was a meeting.
That was the seismic grant that she mentioned. Yes.
May and made the deadline.
May is when we'll find out, yes. We had to turn that
So it
in.
wasn't, I had a brain fog on it, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and she didn't mention growth, she just mentioned seismic grant.
Yeah.
But if we get that seismic grant, that affects the old gymnasium building and would allow us to do a new roof, which is not currently in the scope. I'm sure we'd like to do a new roof, but, yeah.
All right, well, with that being said, thank you. Have a pleasant evening, and we are adjourned.
I know, it's like. Just a bit. Like, we transition it's just
Good times.
Oh, by the way.
Oh, well, missed out. Whatever. Good job, Jared.
Hey, when I was writing grants for Rotary, I think you saw, I also found this one up at Sell Kirk or whatever, doing extra. But all we write questions they ask, none of them were school specific, so no one's in no way authorized to speak on behalf of the school. If there were, we always do. But so far, when I just saw it, it's individual trying to put stuff out, and it didn't have anything about the school, it was at the school name. So as soon, we'll find out in like 20 days or something.
Okay. Nice.
And not just.
Did you like end this? Is there all the talking, are we still live?
No.
We'll put the, okay, but there's a little green light on.
My brain, you think my brain's gonna let that go on?